February 2025, a month marked by final moments, haunting words, and stories that linger long after the last breath is drawn. Today, we delve into the chilling yet thought-provoking accounts of 5 individuals executed across the United States. Marian Bowman, the debt dispute that turned deadly. We begin with Marian Bowman. Convicted for the murder of Candy Louise Martin over a bitter debt dispute, the tragedy unfolded in a small Tennessee neighborhood. Bowman had lent Martin a sum of money, and when repayment was delayed, tensions rose sharply. Neighbors reported hearing shouting from Martin's home the night of the incident. According to court records, Bowman, in a fit of rage, grabbed a kitchen knife from Martin's counter during the argument. In the struggle that followed, Martin was stabbed multiple times. Forensic evidence confirmed her blood was found on Bowman's clothes, and eyewitnesses testified seeing him flee the scene. Despite the mountain of evidence, Bowman maintained his innocence, claiming a setup and racial bias in his trial. His final request? A lavish last meal of fried seafood, shrimp, catfish, and hush puppies, paired with an assortment of sweets. And his last words, "I die an innocent man." Was this defiance in the face of death, or a desperate plea for justice? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Stephen Nelson, a church stained with violence. Next, we move to Texas, where Stephen Nelson's crime sent shockwaves through a community of faith. Nelson, battling mounting debt and spiraling into substance abuse, saw a rural church as an easy target for a robbery. He broke in during an evening service, demanding money from the collection box. When Reverend Thomas Green tried to de-escalate the situation, Nelson lashed out, shooting the Reverend twice. The church secretary, who happened to walk in at that moment, was brutally beaten as a witness. Congregants hid in pews, some calling 911 in hushed whispers. The crime turned a place of worship into a scene of horror. At his execution, Nelson's final words weren't for his victims, they were for his wife. "I love you, forever and always." A jarring moment of intimacy amid public reckoning. It forces us to ask, can love and violence truly coexist within one person? Demetrius Terren Frasier, The Weight of Remorse. In Alabama, Demetrius Terren Frasier faced execution for a string of violent crimes against women, including kidnapping, assault, and sexual violence. His victims, many of whom bravely testified in court, described the calculated cruelty Frasier inflicted, how he lured them into his trap with false promises before turning violent. Prosecutors painted a picture of a man who sought control through fear. As Frasier awaited his death by nitrogen hypoxia, a controversial method due to its untested nature, his final moments surprised many. "I'm sorry for the pain I've caused. I pray for forgiveness," he whispered. His last meal? Taco Bell, a simple order of tacos and cinnamon twists. Was his remorse a genuine acknowledgement of the horror he'd caused, or just another performance from a man used to manipulating those around him? James Dennis Ford. Silence speaks volumes. Florida witnessed the execution of James Dennis Ford, convicted for a brutal home invasion that left a young couple dead and their 6-year-old child fighting for life. The attack unfolded during what prosecutors described as a robbery gone wrong. Ford broke into the family's suburban home in the middle of the night, searching for valuables. When the father confronted him, a violent struggle erupted. Ford shot both parents and injured their child, who had awoken to the chaos. The case rocked the community. A family destroyed, a child left orphaned. As Ford stood in the execution chamber, he chose silence. No final words, just a folded note handed to his lawyer, the contents of which remain a secret. Was this silence an act of defiance, an admission of guilt, or perhaps a final, quiet protest against a system he refused to acknowledge? Richard Lee Tobler, a last-minute apology. Finally, we turn to Richard Lee Tobler, a man convicted of a series of cold-blooded murders, including a fatal shooting spree at a convenience store that claimed the lives of 3 innocent people. According to court testimony, Tobler orchestrated the attack as a means to eliminate witnesses after a robbery spiraled out of control. Security footage showed the senseless brutality, victims pleading for their lives moments before Tobler opened fire. The victims' families were left shattered, enduring years of grief and unanswered questions. Some chose to attend his execution, hoping for a shred of remorse. In an unexpected twist, Tobler faced them and broke down. "I am deeply sorry for the pain I've caused. I can't undo what I've done, but I hope you find peace someday," he said. A rare moment of emotion from a man many saw as a heartless killer. But was his apology too little? Too late? Could any words undo the damage left in his wake? As we recount these final moments, we are reminded of the complexity behind every execution. Last meals, from extravagant seafood platters to fast food, reflect more than just cravings. They speak to the human desire for comfort, even in death. Final words, from defiant declarations to heartfelt apologies, peel back the layers of those we often reduce to their crimes. These moments, raw, unsettling, and deeply human, force us to grapple with the reality of capital punishment. If this video moved you, like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments below. Your voice matters. Until next time, stay informed, stay compassionate.